because it was given by Lord Krishna. So it is the song of God, and definitely it is part of the Mahabharata. And Bhagavad Gita is the part between in the Mahabharata where we have the conversation between Arjun and Sri Krishna, where Arjun was on the battlefield and he refused to fight, right? And then Krishna gave him the message of the Bhagavad Gita, which was in Sanskrit, and we have 18 chapters and 700 verses. Now, why is the Bhagavad Gita important? Yes, it is important, first of all, and it is not important for only Hindus or certain people, right? It is important for everyone, irrespective of caste, color, religion, normally a universal book, yeah, a universal scripture. We do have many translations also of the Bhagavad Gita. Now, it is said that the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita are pareil comme the teachings of the Upanishads. You know what happened with time? We have got new scriptures. Parce que the monde a changé, the mindset change. So we get new scriptures always with time, with uh, which we can adapt and we can put into practice. Same is for the Bhagavad Gita, right? What is the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita? The Bhagavad Gita, as it contains knowledge, of course, it helps us to it contains knowledge, so it helps us to uh, be knowledgeable, ou bien plutôt précisément to be wise, right? And one example is that Gandhi was always reading the Bhagavad Gita. This is Gandhi, right? Was always reading the Bhagavad Gita in times of problems, even when there were no problems, right? Anytime he could read the Bhagavad Gita and he was reading. So the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjun and Krishna, they are the main characters. There, Arjun represents the modern man. Don't forget that he represents the modern man. How are we living today? Stressful life, confusion, frustration, not able to take any decision, or be a decision. It is hard for us to take decisions at times. So Krishna, Arjun also was in the same situation on the battlefield. And then Krishna gave him the message of the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. So he represents us, Arjun represents us, the modern man, right? So reading the Bhagavad Gita can bring solutions to our life, to our problems, and to help us evolve as well. And you can add to this, it is helpful for those who want to get moksha. So it mainly talks, to summarize the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about the karma, jnana, and the bhakti yoga. Of course, Raja Yoga, meditation, but souvent des fois, nous mettons sous Gyan Yoga, right? These can be basically the summary, pour moi, comme ça, il y a une summary of the Bhagavad Gita. It teaches us Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Now, you know the background, Arjun was not willing to fight, and then Krishna gave him the message to encourage him to fight. And you have in your book, in your syllabus, chapter 3. And the chapter 3 deals with Karma Yoga. Ultimately, come and summary like this for you, if we have to summarize the chapter 3 here. So the chapter 3, premièrement, what do we have in it? Arjun's search for highest good. Highest good means, sorry, he was looking for, he was searching for his path. We always say we have two paths, the Shreya, the prayer. So Arjun was looking for his path, which one to choose. Parce que he was still in a state of confusion, même quand il arrive au chapitre 3, là, what Krishna was talking to him. He was still in that state of confusion because Krishna told him, dans chapitre 2, Krishna dit que he has taught people many ways, many disciplines, especially two disciplines, which is the karma and the gyan. And Arjun, he didn't know which one to opt, the karma or the gyan yoga, the action or the path of knowledge. He was still confused. So this chapter still deals with the search of four highest good of Arjun. So Krishna, while explaining, he said that no one can exist without performing action. Les vrais ne pas capables restent rien à faire. That is not possible. Parce que everything that we do is an action. I'm talking, it is an action. You're listening, it is an action. You read, c'est une action. Maybe you are not doing anything physically, you are just sitting, maybe. Peut-être pour nous, parfois, nous disons, nous pas faire rien, right? So, but no, it still means action. Dreaming, even you think about something, it is an action. So we cannot exist basically without performing actions. We are bound to act. Il y a beaucoup de choses qui font nous acte. And là-dedans, c'est the three gunas. Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. The three gunas make us act. You know, the three gunas are in us. We are still alive, no? Quand nous mourons, pas pour three gunas. The three gunas are still in us, and these make us act. Si nous avons sattva gun, ni pour make nous act as sattvic people, like sages, no? Good people, calm. If we have rajas gun predominating, they pour faire nous very active, full of anger as well. That is also possible. Anger. See, tamas gun is predominating. We'll feel sleepy, laziness, inertia, lethargy, pas envie de faire n'ennui. State of confusion is also because of tamas gun, right? So we are bound to act finally. And Krishna says we need to act for the sake of sacrifice. Yajna, we explained the term yajna, kapavina, beaucoup meaning, beaucoup interpretation. Let me say that way, and interpretation. Enadmun goes sacrifice in terms of animal sacrifice, which we don't talk here, c'est pas un topic. Secondly, say sacrifice, fire sacrifice. Krishna, in his Bhagavad Gita, he has put emphasis on fire sacrifice. We need to do fire sacrifice. Parce que quand nous peut faire fire sacrifice, or what you call havan and all, it's not just for us. We are doing it for a purpose. You want to possess something. It is Mahashivratri. You are doing fire sacrifice. Very fine. But you are doing that for others too. Donc, quelle façon? It helps you purify the air, the environment, the microbes qui y a autour dans un paramètre. All these will be destroyed, right? But si nous get vraiment le mot sacrifice veut dire quoi? To act for others, to do something for others. This is called real sacrifice. And dis-moi, il n'y a pas quoi de bon Dieu, il y a un athéiste, il pas faire fire sacrifice. Fine. But he help people. He give his time to help people. He read things. He doing whatever thing. He's doing for others. Right? It is called sacrifice. This leads us to loka samgraha. We need to work for the good of all. Sacrifice. Loka samgraha. Je n'ai servi le terme loka samgraha dans le devoir. Je t'écris ce meaning aussi, bien sûr. So Loka Samgraha, we need to work for the good of all. When we say all, c'est pas seulement humans, but nature, animals, all creatures. And we need to set examples. If you remember, Krishna took the example of King Janak, right? How he was very exemplary. You can write any other example also. Do mention that Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita inserted the example of King Janak. Now, if you want to add on your own, you can add, for example, someone might be following Mother Teresa, right? If needed, then you write. The last, Krishna talk about conquering the evil of desire. That is, desire should be conquered. You know, desire is something which actually never ends. Most of us and most of the times, it does not end. When we have a desire and the desire is fulfilled, the problem is we get another desire. Nous and form the greed, no? Desire likansa, it never ends. Today I wanted to possess something which is called A, for example. When fini get A, demain I want to get B. When I get B, I want to get C. It goes on like that, and then we become greedy. And there's another problem also. If our desires are not fulfilled, grand désir, but the desires are not fulfilled, what will happen? We will be disappointed. We'll be jealous, maybe. Le Jumuning game en ban gagné, maman fait des efforts, le clapin fait des efforts, he got that. Jealous, maybe. Anger also might come there. So, quand on a des desires, les fulfill, les pas fulfill, there's always a problem with it. So Krishna says, better to conquer that evil. To conquer means it's better not to have desires. But si nous guettons bien, nous vivons dans le monde matériel, it's a bit difficult for a modern man like us to say, oh, I don't have desire. All of us, we have desire. But what is essential here is to have desires which we can at least fulfill. Non, ça, to curb down the desires. Diminuer désir là. This is what Krishna said here in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, the verses, right? So you can go through this if you're not going to read in the book for your exams. You can. Here in this chapter, he also talks about the 9 forms of devotion, 9th especially, which means Atmanivedana. Atmanivedana means surrendering to God. Can be in form of action, we surrender to God, right? And we also talked about the body and the soul, the body being perishable, the soul eternal, the form. This is not expected that you write in your work, but what I explain, I remember there are so many species of life, the soul goes through all these, right? All these bodies, et c'est ça, the 4 bodies qui nous sont passés. Ça là, il égale 8,4 millions d'espèces la vie. These are just bodies. C'est un différents body in it, no? So again, I tell you, this is not expected from you. But if ever you are writing it, you see, that is okay. Okay. Pavidya, if it's not expected, you cannot write. Maybe you're writing something to explain it. You want to add, okay, no problem. Right? Desire. Example, you can take example of Duryodhan. Right? So this is your chapter 3, the Bhagavad Gita, which we saw in the book. Won't have been very quick, of course, with it, but do read all these before you go for the exams, right? So you have the chapter 3. Let's move to the revision, quick revision on the Tulsidas, Ramcharitmanas of Tulsidas. and then we will see the comment dire ça? The past exams, right? So let's do the Aranyakand first, right? I believe you have this already. So in the Aranyakand, if you remember, Krishna, sorry. Uh, Sita got kidnapped already by Ravan, and then Ram, Lakshman were in search of Sita, where they met Jatayu, the bird which died actually while saving Sita, while trying to help Sita. And Ram did the funeral of Jatayu. But Jatayu, before dying, he could tell Ram in which direction Sita was taken. Now, when he was Ram and Lakshman, they were looking for Sita. They came across the hut of Shabri, the old woman who was uneducated, who was from low caste. And the point here is Shabri waited for Ram throughout her life. You can also refer to your book here. He waited throughout her life. She was about to get married when she was young, but she left her house. She did not want to marry. She went to the sage whose name was Matang. The guru of Shabri was Sage Matang. She lived under the guidance of Sage Matang. And before dying, Sage Matang told Shabri that Ram will definitely one day come to meet her. And eventually that was the day when Sita was kidnapped. So she waited for Ram every day. Every day she was plucking fruits, she was cleaning her hut because Ram could come at any time to meet her. Now, when Ram came, of course, she was happy, right? She managed her joys knew no bound, as if very, very happy. And she offered Ram a seat, bien sûr, when someone comes, on fait yes, tout ça. And she gave them, Ram specially, the fruits. But before giving Ram the fruits to eat, she was tasting those fruits. If the fruits were good, she was giving to Ram. And Ram was eating her leftover. He had no problem in eating the leftover of Shabri. So Lakshman was in a fix, as written here. He could not understand why Ram was doing that, and according to him, it was not proper for Ram to eat the leftover of someone. But then Ram explained to him that Shabri was doing that out of innocence, out of bhakti. And for Ram, bhakti is the most important thing. Bhakti, if you see the definition of bhakti, bhakti means to have intense love for God. Malgré she was old, she was a woman. Longtemps, a woman cannot attain liberation. People had that mindset. But she was an old woman. She was from low caste and she was uneducated too. She also told Ram that she did not know the different ways to worship Ram, the rituals and all. She did not know about that. But what is more important for God is not what rituals you know and what you practice. What is important is devotion. Ram stated that devotion alone is dear to me. No caste, no gender, no color, no family, no status, money, nothing. These things have no importance in devotion, right? And Ram explained to Shabri the 9 forms of devotion. You should know the 9 forms of devotion. Premièrement, satsang, being good company. Make as if you can't remember them in the order given. That's not a problem. It's not an issue. At least you know them, right? Mais seulement, the important thing is you should know. Because you know how the question can come where you are going. You need to write the 9 forms of devotion. Now, if you are not able to remember all of them, maybe during the exams, you can write one or two or three, ce qui vous rappelle, and then you write and others, ou bien and so on. Don't use etc. Don't use etc. You can see here, I've written it here, typed it here. Don't use that because we do not use abbreviation. Okay. Même en anglais, tout à l'heure, parfois, you write mom or something. No? We don't use abbreviations. You are not penalized for that, let me tell you. For Hinduism, vous pas connaître pour anglais, tout ça, but for Hinduism, you're not penalized if you are using abbreviations. For example, you use etc. You're not penalized, but you know the proper way of writing, you should get it in a habit of course, not to use these, right? So instead of etc., you can write and others, you can write and so on. Parfois, in Azotecra, to name a few, submit the different examples, and then they write to name a few. Giteu, c'est facile, you write that. Okay. I again tell you, you are not penalized for using abbreviation. So the nine forms of devotion, that is the satsang, love to the stories of God, selfless service to the guru, parce que nous besoin d'un guru, because the guru teaches us the right path, shows us the right path, recitation of God's glory, to chant the name of God with full faith in him, control of senses, to see the world full of God, ça veut dire nous trouve bon Dieu dans le tout, contentment and not finding fault in others, satisfaction, comment on appelle ça, et neuvième, simplicity, and not to be affected by the pair of opposites. Parfois, vous trouvez dans différents literature, the 9 forms of devotion, they differ. Okay. But since we are learning the Ramcharitmanas here, the topic is that itself, we use what has been given in the Ramcharitmanas. I don't know if ever you have come across, but for example, Surdas, they usually donne une version de 9 form of devotion. But comment dire, we study Ramcharitmanas, we write what has been given in Ramcharitmanas, right? Who can practice these 9 forms of devotion? Of course, anyone, irrespective of caste, etc. Right? And after saying that, Shabri, she bowed down to the feet of Ram, and she had yogic powers. With her yogic powers, she left her body in at the feet of Ram. But before doing that, Ram asked her if ever she knows about where Sita was, but she said she didn't know. Meaning, dear Ram to go near the Pampa Lake, right? To go near the Pampa Lake. And then Ram finally went there, right? So this is the Aranyakand. And if we have to see the Kishkindakand, here it is about Hanuman, where sorry. where they saw two persons coming in the forest, and they did not know. They, I mean to say, Hanuman, Sugriv, etc., all others, they were together, the Vanar or Seekmans, yeah. So they wanted to know who were these two men. They thought that Jina Vibhishan Vasilaba, no, sorry. Vibhishan was not there. I'm sorry, no, Vibhishan was not there. C'était Sugriv, sorry, Sugriv was there. And they thought that maybe Bali could have sent these people, right? Bali and Sugriv, they were brothers, but there was enmity there. And then they sent Hanuman to know the identity of those two men, right? And Hanuman dressed himself as a Brahmin. You can see here as a Brahmin to know those two men. And Hanuman, why was Hanuman sent? Because he was intelligent. He was a perfect orator. Orator veut dire du monde qui connaît, qui lui causer what to talk, when to say something. And he was very well versed in Sanskrit. And he approached those two men who were in that form, as you see here. And Hanuman was very humble. He bowed down his head, malgré qu'il supposément les papes con those two men. He bowed down in front of them and asked them why they were roaming there, and saying that they look like Kshatriya, they look to be like, prince and all. Hanuman politely said, both of them, you look soft and tender. Why are you walking, enduring the heat, the cold, the rain in the forest? Are you Nard or you Narayan? He was asking. And these are all the questions. You will find this in your book. Je trouvais même mes book et ce page. Exactly how it is in the book, c'est ça here. C'est qui in italics, right? Then Ram introduced himself and his brother, that they are the sons of Dashrath, and what is the purpose of coming to the forest? That is to search for Sita. And Ram knew that this Brahman was Hanuman himself, but Ram did not, since Hanuman did not reveal his true form, Ram also was not revealing. The Pape show that happiness of meeting Hanuman as well, right? So Hanuman already recognized the Lord. Hanuman was filled with emotions, right? He was filled with divine bliss, what you call Satchitanand. Here are the emotions of Hanuman. There was a question once, we will see that, where you have to write about the emotions of Hanuman when he saw Ram, or when he met Ram. So you should know. For example, he was unable to speak. See, an emotion side, you're so happy when you see someone, you don't have words to say. He just fell on the ground very happily and grabbed the feet of Ram. He was happy, extremely happy, excited state of mind. He glorified the Lord. He was physically thrilled. His heart was filled with love, with devotion, right? So prepare yourself to get any such thing on Hanuman. And Hanuman said that he failed to understand why the Lord, the Supreme Being, asked me, that is himself, about his identity like an ordinary man. And Hanuman admitted his deficiencies. Hanuman il admet qu'il y en a défaut. And these are the 4 deficiencies that Hanuman himself said he had: dull-minded, attachment, weak heart, and ignorance. He thought he was that. So you see, malgré le fait que he was very knowledgeable, he knew the Vedas, he could Sanskrit, he could too, right? Yet he was very humble. He had an ego. He considered himself to be a servant of God, and he considered himself to have been trapped by Maya. Maya, that is illusion. He considered himself to be trapped there by Maya, right? And only the Lord can liberate him, Hanuman. You see, we do pray Hanuman, but Hanuman considered himself just like a servant. Okay, so then he fell at the feet of Ram to Sa. They were happy to meet each other and all. So these are the 4 emotions, the 4 types of devotion. Donc ça, c'est une autre façon d'écrire devotion, right? Il y a 4 types. And c'est Sakya Bhav. But when you have friendship with God, here it is just like Arjuna and Krishna. Then you have Dasya Bhav, when you consider yourself a servant of God, just like Hanuman. Okay, je peux écrire le mot Dasya Bhav comme si je peux écrire le Hanuman there. Madhurya Bhav, like Radha and Krishna to sa, ou bien the wives of Krishna and Krishna himself, where we consider God to be our beloved. And Vatsalya Bhav, c'est parental love for God. And this one usually is the parents of the Lord, parental love for the Lord. Like Dashrath, Kaushalya, or if you take Krishna, Vasudev, Devki and Vasudev, ou bien même Yashoda and Nand, right? They were the mother and father, right? So these are the thing about Hanuman and about the Kishkinda, this part. Good. Now let's see the questions.